Anthea Bradshaw is known as the forgotten bride. Newly married and living with her husband in Brunei, she was murdered, her alleged killer never caught. It's now been 30 years and her family says authorities here don't care, demanding a new investigation.
She was my only daughter, and to have her taken away, it's just destroyed all our family.
The Bradshaws need justice.
There is only one suspect in this murder.
So why is nobody investigating?
Anthea has not been forgotten by us, but she's been forgotten by the police force.
A case that Australia let fall through the cracks.
This could have happened to any one of us. Could have happened to any one of us. Annie was just in the wrong place with the wrong person at the wrong time.
Anthea Bradshaw married her high school sweetheart, Jeff Hall, in April of 1994.
It was a beautiful day. I remember saying it was the best wedding I've been to.
But as brothers Craig and Paul and mum Roz watch the wedding video for the first time, there are no feelings of happiness. That's because 3 months after the young school teacher walked down the aisle of this Adelaide church, her newlywed husband would phone them with the worst of news.
He just said, Annie's dead.
Anthea was killed in a third-floor apartment in Brunei, Southeast Asia, where Jeff was working as a radiographer. He says he discovered her body after she failed to pick him up from his medical clinic at 5 p.m. A post-mortem found she'd been strangled to death before her lifeless body was repeatedly stabbed.
I don't think there's adjectives to describe how you feel. You go into a state of shock.
Kylie Timms was one of Anthea's closest friends. She says Jeff told her the crime had been committed by a random intruder.
I said, oh my God, what happened? And he said, you know, she was out, she was running, we were in this hotel compound that was high security. I think she's come in and she's, you know, intercepted people that were sort of in the room and they've stabbed her in the stomach and left her to die.
But Anthea wasn't wearing running clothes, and in 1998 a Brunei coroner found no evidence of a robbery or a sexual assault, instead saying the only apparent suspect in this case appears to be the deceased husband, one Jeffrey John Hall.
I couldn't believe it. I just honestly couldn't believe it.
Brunei police never found any evidence to charge Jeff Hall, and they did explore other theories. One was that Anthea may have been killed by a mysterious stranger who was spotted near the crime scene. Eventually, their investigation reached a dead end, but that's when South Australian police decided to step in.
In the Nine podcast Just Married, the Anthea Bradshaw mystery, retired SA detective Brenton Rowney talked about his investigation.
Brunei police were helpful to an extent. They gave me access to all the files that they had.
Among the exhibits was a blood-stained shirt that Jeff wore on the day of the murder. The blood-stain evidence in itself wasn't conclusive because Jeff says he did check Anthea's pulse when he discovered her body. But in 2008, it formed part of a brief of evidence given to the then South Australian Director of Public Prosecution, Stephen Polaris, who was told the Just Married podcast this.
My conclusion was that there was sufficient evidence not only to charge but to prosecute.
Prosecute who?
To prosecute the husband of Anthea Bradshaw.
But SA police had no jurisdiction in Brunei, so with the help of senior politicians, they changed federal law.
Will forever after be known as the Bradshaw Bill.
New legislation gave Australian federal police the power to prosecute the crime. It was a breakthrough for the Bradshaws, but their hopes were soon dashed when the AFP told them they would not conduct a full investigation.
I thought it was a really bad joke. And I, to be honest, I couldn't believe it. I just thought, you are kidding me. I don't know their ability to investigate murders, but I thought it was, and I still do think, I think it's a travesty of justice.
The AFP told the Bradshaws they'd thoroughly evaluated the evidence and there wasn't enough to go on.
So the AFP has told you that they can't investigate any further, there's not enough evidence to investigate further. How did that make you feel when the AFP told you that?
Ben, they don't care. The federal police should not have that job What is their job?
You feel like you've been let down?
Let down? I think they're very cruel of what they've done to us.
Anthea's youngest brother is furious.
If there's not enough evidence, go out and find some. Don't just read the original investigation and just say, on this we can't act.
Former Federal Minister Christopher Pyne helped change the legislation so the AFP could investigate. He says he's disappointed they failed to do so.
I do feel that there were obvious lines of activity that the police, both SAPOL and the AFP, could have pursued in terms of rewards, for example, for any evidence that people could bring forward in Brunei or even elsewhere in the globe where suspects may be living.
The Australian Federal Police have refused our request for an on-the-record interview, which is perhaps not a surprise. In the 30 years since Anthea was killed, the AFP has not held a single media conference about the case. There have been no calls for new information, no plea to witnesses to come forward. The Bradshaw family believes they're treating her murder like it never happened.
Do I have to live the rest of my life like this just because they don't care?
Do you ever feel like giving up?
Oh, I have many times. Sometimes I feel it's just not worth living. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Roz's husband, Martin, died without seeing justice for his daughter. Jeff Hall is currently working as an executive in Tokyo. He hasn't responded to our request for an interview, but he has always maintained his innocence, and multiple alibi witnesses place him at work when Brunei police believe the murder may have taken place.
We all want the truth. I think the Australian Federal Police have been incredibly disappointing. I think it's appalling, really, that they have left this in such a state for the Bradshaws.
It's wearing me out. I feel like an 80-year-old man. My brain's always going, I don't stop. As soon as I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I say hello to Anthea, I say hello to my dad, tell him I'll keep going.
30 years and no answers. No family should have to go through that. And the 9 podcast Just Married, the Anthea Bradshaw mystery, is out now.